Alright, hear me out. I think I have an explanation for why no airbenders were born during the 100-year war, and it may have to do with elephants in our own real world. Trust me, it'll make sense by the end of the video, but before we get into that, let's set up the scene for this explanation. The air nomad genocide stands as a grim testament to the horrific act of mass slaughter perpetuated by the Fire Nation, which nearly wiped out the entire population of air nomads. But there was always something that made me scratch my head. Why were there no airbenders born during the 100-year war? And why were there no stories of them or possible survivors during that time period? It took an extraordinary event like Hermetic Convergence for there to be a re-emergence of airbenders in the world in a significant way. But that never made much sense to me. Similar to the Jedi Purge in Star Wars, there had to be survivors across the world, right? And not all of the airbenders would have been at the air temples when the Fire Nation attacked. As we know from the Avatar Legends role-playing game, and explained in these videos on my channel, many of the airbenders played as mediators among the nations. So a lot of them would have been in different villages or cities across the globe when Sozin decided that genocide was a grand idea. Hell, not all airbenders were actively a part of the air nomad family, such as Monk Khandro, who was a rogue airbender, again, explained in this video. And more importantly, Kyoshi's own airbending mother, Jessa. Jessa started as a respected airbending master, but everything changed when she crossed paths with an Earth Kingdom thief named Hart. Drawn to a life of thrilling adventure and crime, Jessa left her peaceful existence within the Eastern Air Temple and, together with Hart, formed the notorious flying opera company Crime Network. And Jessa would never return to the air nomads again. So after the initial arrival of Sozin's comet and the start of the 100-year war, there would have been plenty of air nomads and former air nomads scattered around the world. So, what gives? Well, there is one explanation given to us within the Lost Adventures comic books. One of them, simply titled Relics, explains how some of the airbending stragglers were defeated. During their journey to the Northern Water Tribe, Team Avatar visits a humble Earth Kingdom trading village for supplies. There, Aang stumbles upon a merchant selling an alleged air nomad pendant. Initially, Aang thinks it's an ancient relic, but the merchant confesses it isn't ancient but was recently traded for medical aid. Intrigued and thinking he's going to find some of his airbending survivors, Aang investigates and discovers a cave filled with air nomad artifacts. However, his exploration takes an unexpected turn when he encounters Admiral Zhao, who captures him with the help of the deceitful merchant, both of whom deliberately entrapped the Avatar. Aang, resourceful as ever, uses the artifacts to free himself and reunite with Katara and Sokka, though he keeps the encounter with Zhao a secret, and they continue with their journey undeterred. This comic reveals that some airbenders did survive the initial attack on the air temples and began to regroup in the Earth Kingdom, but were eventually drawn to caves carved by the Fire Nation that were decorated with air nomad artifacts. Using these caves, Sozin sent out rumors saying the air nomads could find refuge in these places, but kill the survivors who went there. So there it is. There's your answer. End of video. But I'm still not quite buying it. Over that 100-year period, there still should have been new airbenders born all over the world. Some who could have been protected in a place like Ba Sing Se, for example, or in the deep trenches of the Great Swamp, or scattered around the plains of the Earth Kingdom deserts. But I have a theory. A theory based on canon information and something in our own real world that can explain the utter absence of any significant air nomad population until the time period of Korra. Remember when I mentioned elephants? Well, this is where they come into play. Air nomads generally espouse a philosophy of conflict avoidance and respect for all life forms. An airbender will never seek a fight, and they will never seek to strike an opponent directly. Due to the spirituality of the air nomads in accordance with the size of its population, virtually every air nomad retains bending abilities. This is unique to airbenders and airbenders alone, who are the only bending population with a near 100% airbending rate within their population. For better and for worse, as an airbender can actively lose their skills if they lose their spiritual awareness. For example, Kyoshi's mother Jessa lost a lot of her bending strength when she left her sisters at the Eastern Air Temple. Because of her weakened abilities, she had to use fans to elevate her waning airbending skill, a tool Kyoshi would be famous for using as well, as she too would initially struggle with airbending, though that was due more to her natural affinity for Earth, which is the opposite of air. The point is that in terms of spirituality, Airbenders have the strongest connection, and their culture has fostered this deep bond between their ability to manipulate air and their ability to be intimately in touch with the spirits and the spiritual world. Because of this intense connection, it is my theory that the guiding force that overwatches air, whatever ethereal force that was transposed between the ancient lion turtles and the first Airbenders, went on the defensive, just as air nomads are known for their adherence to the path of least resistance. And I believe this spiritual force, this air spirit as I'll call it, went dormant all the way up until harmonic convergence. And because of this, no new Airbenders were born after the initial cleanup of the remaining Airbenders during the early years of Sozin's War, because this theoretical air spirit did not allow new Airbenders to be born into a world of conflict, especially if this force could sense or see how dangerous it is to possess airbending. Now, I know that I lost a few of you on this one. Many of you are already putting on your tinfoil hats and are decrying my half-baked theory. But the reason I even came up with this thought is because of the real-world phenomenon that's going on right now with elephants in Africa. Over 20,000 African elephants fall victim to illegal poaching annually, primarily for their invaluable ivory tusks, resulting in many elephant deaths. However, the consequences of ivory hunting extend beyond mere decline in elephant populations. Recent studies have uncovered a startling revelation. Historical overhunting during the Mozambique Civil War from 1977 to 1992 triggered a remarkable evolution among elephants. The relentless pursuit of the highly prized ivory tusks led to a significant increase in elephants born without tusks within a single generation, highlighting the profound impact of human activities on the species' biology. And I believe something similar could have occurred with the air nomads, with this theoretical air spirit essentially negating any new airbenders from being born to protect future potential airbenders from being hunted down and murdered within a single generation, thus explaining why we do not hear about airbenders being born during this time period. In the world of Avatar, bending abilities are not solely determined by genetics. While it is true that bending can run in families, it is not an exclusive inheritance. Bending is more closely connected to a person's spiritual connection with the elements and their capacity to manipulate them. The ability to bend is believed to be influenced by a combination of factors, including one's lineage and spiritual aptitude. Therefore, while there may be a tendency for bending abilities to be passed down through generations, it is not solely dependent on genetics. And that's the reason why we didn't see our first new airbender until the birth of Tenzin. And even then, whatever guiding force was suppressing new airbenders continued for another generation, with Tenzin fathering 3 airbenders, maybe even 4, with his non-bending wife Pema, which is, of course, a primarily genetic inheritance, not a spiritual one. It wasn't until the extraordinary phenomenon of harmonic convergence until airbending flourished once more, healing the wound inflicted to this hypothetical air spirit. But what do you think? Am I talking hocus pocus, or am I onto something? Let me know in the comments below, and check out this video on screen about how the airbenders might have lost their ability to fly. I'll catch you on the next one, and as always, peace, love, and remember, be water, my friends.